Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Giglio, principal at Homestead High School, with another edition of our weekly video message. And I have a special guest with us today. It's Jessica Kirby, who I'll be introducing to you in just a minute. But I just want to remind everyone that I create these videos based on the submissions that you do for the weekly parent surveys. And in that survey, I also ask, there's some people you'd like to meet at Homestead, and Jessica Kirby was one of those people. So thank you, Jessica, for coming in and taking a few minutes with us and letting our families get to know you a little bit better. So this is Jessica Kirby. She's one of our resource teachers and our ASB leadership teacher. So why don't you go ahead and can you give us a little background on, where you grew up, where you went to school, that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. So I'm excited to be here. So thanks for inviting me, Greg. So I grew up in Orange County in Santa Ana, if anyone knows where that is, so Southern California. I went to Santa Ana College for high school and post high school, and I went to Humboldt State University where I got my bachelor's degree. It was awesome. I loved it. I've been at Homestead since I was 23 and I'm 32 now, and I had no intention of becoming a teacher when I started at Homestead. It was kind of I was planning on going into social work, and I ended up getting approached by another staff member on campus who had worked with me pretty closely, and she said, you should think about becoming a resource teacher, and it had not even crossed my mind. But I'm really appreciative of that. I love my job. I'm so grateful that I get to wake up every day and work with students who I love, and just be in such a positive place. I love Homestead. I can't even imagine leaving. It's just become such a huge community for me, and I've grown up here, it feels like, through my adulthood. So I just love it. I can't believe I've been here this long. Anyway, I feel like I've had a lot of different journeys and different things I've been interested in. But I love my job. It's challenging. It provides me an opportunity to be thoughtful. I love to learn. So this is a great job for me. So yeah, I don't know if that's me in a nutshell, I guess.
No, that's great. Thank you. So, one of the aspects of your job is that you are the leadership teacher. And so can you kind of explain to parents what it is, what does a leadership teacher do, and what is your leadership class about?
Sure. So where do I even begin? So we have a leadership class on campus, which students are enrolled in if they are selected for a position. So you can't just enroll in the class, you have to apply. We have various different positions. So we have everything from our HOP leaders who work with our freshmen, who work with an outside advisor. We also have our EL commissioners. We have our class officers, we have our ASB team that's made up of all different students. So like rally, everything you can imagine. So I hope I'm not missing anyone. But anyway, so basically the class is broken up into, we have committees and then community is what I call it. So we have a bunch of committees, and no matter what position you hold, you work with that committee. And so this year in particular, we've had a really robust, we've been working less with our classes per se and more with our committees, because we really want to promote a lot of unity on campus. And so that means providing opportunities for all students to engage and be involved, no matter how challenging it is right now. But we do rallies. Our club commissioner, I should not forget to mention him. He's awesome. We are in charge of all things clubs. We have student council on Tuesdays. So that's an opportunity where students in our class not only share out what they're currently doing, but they also approve events on campus, whether it be fundraisers, club approval. We haven't had many to approve since we don't really have many events going on. But that's typically how we spend our Tuesdays, and everyone in the class is required to be a part of that. So we're all in the know. I don't know. We do so many different things. One thing that I really focus on as a leadership teacher is not just putting on events, but when I took on this position, I really wanted to talk about or work on like the culture of Homestead and what that means for everyone involved. And I really feel like this year in particular, the students are really all about wanting to be super inclusive and just really making sure everyone feels involved. And I think that's really reflected in our class because we are such a tight community. And even during virtual learning, I feel like I have such an amazing group who really support one another and come in like, I don't know, they're just great. I just love them.
Okay.
Um,
So what are some things that parents and students can kind of look forward to possibly coming out of ASB leadership for the rest of this school year?
sure, that's an excellent question. I have a very long list of things, so that's a positive.
That is a positive.
Um, so currently we're in the planning stages of our battle of the classes, and it's going to be completely different. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be very inclusive. We've really been reflecting as a team on when we're putting on events, what does that mean for the student body? How can we be like cultural appropriation has come up this year for us, and that's been a really big topic and a really good discussion for us, particularly with our homecoming discussion. So anyway, Battle of the Classes planning, keep an eye out for that. We don't have a date yet with all the unknowns. Our clubs that you can apply to be a club at any time. That's happening. We have, let's see, we have a charity month project coming up, which is going to be aligning, put on by our IEC commissioners, which is pretty cool. We've got, let's see, we have care packages that we're actually selling for for one of our classes to fundraise. So you can find those on the student store. Let's see, Hop just did a goodie bag social. I was out there all day handing out bags to freshmen, and it was really fun to see them. So keep your eye out. I know Hop's going to be doing something for our incoming 8th graders. We have Multicultural Week coming up, and that's going to be awesome. We normally hold it on a Friday night, but I believe it might be during an advisory. I don't know, Greg. And that's really cool. That's held by our EL commissioners every year. They're going to be doing like a virtual fashion show. Seniors are actually doing a senior hangout for the first time today virtually. So we'll see how that goes. They're really excited about seeing one another. They just did like a Chipotle fundraiser. We'll probably have more of those coming up. Our class just sold face masks, which was pretty cool. And I'm sure we're going to have actually more of those. Our class of 2023 is going to be having merch sold in the student store as well. I've seen some of the layout or the samples, and they're awesome. So I would really encourage you to, or the proofs, to really look into those. Let's see, we've got a podcast that we started last semester. Our ASB president from last year, Lior Kishinevsky, he started it, and we loved it so much that we want to continue it. So that's something we're doing as well. We're also going to be having a talent show that's put on by our student life committee. We don't know like logistically how that's going to work yet, but that is something we're thinking about doing. And last but not least, we are working on our next rally. And we don't actually have a date yet. It's to be determined, but I know that the team that's working on BOTC is also working on the rally right now. So
Great.
that is, I feel like that's an exhaustive list.
So if parents or students wanted to get more information or kind of find a place where they can see when, dates come up or just details of the events, where should they go look on the website or somewhere else?
Sure. So that's a really excellent question. So we have so many ways to like put out information. So one of the ways is to check the Homestead bulletin, because we communicate with communications team. We also have a Homestead ASB website. It's hhsasb.com. And you can actually find that through our Homestead website as well. You can actually contact us directly through that website as well. There's a little contact form at the bottom. So there's so many ways. We have an Instagram you can follow. Our handle is HHSASB. So we have so many ways, but yeah.
All right. Well, again, you've actually been mentioned on this weekly video a few times when parents are giving you shout outs for some of the great things that you've done throughout the year. And so I'm glad that they finally got to see a face with a name and get to hear a lot of the good work that you're doing. So thank you for coming on and spending a few minutes with us. I'm going to let you go and get back to, you're going to be teaching class here in just a little bit. So have a great Friday and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I feel like I shouldn't take so much credit because the kids are amazing, but I appreciate I'm flattered. Have a wonderful day, Greg.
You too. Take care.
Great. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I am now going to take us to our presentation for the week. So give me a second here to switch over and get the presentation going. There it is. Oops, let me get you into presentation mode. There we go. All right, so again, welcome to today. It's Friday, January 22nd, and this is our weekly video message. Again, as that last part just talked about, there was a request from some parents to get to meet some of the staff members. And so, again, trying to bring out some folks so that you can get a chance to meet them since you can't see them around campus. Our parent survey this month is about New Year's resolutions. And we've asked you, what are some things that you think we could do as a school to become some of our New Year's resolutions? And so some of the things that came up in this week's um, survey was, could you make Homestead a more inclusive community? And so again, if you could hear a lot of things that were going on at the leadership side with our students, there are a lot of activities that they're starting to plan and trying to make sure we can get as much participation, and as well as a lot of our advisory work is that too. But yeah, absolutely, that's a great resolution. Um, People want to say, please make sure that you're enforcing safety protocols when students, parents, or visitors come to campus. And absolutely, once they step on our campus, that's something that we're very, conscious about and concerned about, especially as we start to increase some of the athletic pods or academic pods, and even the testing that's coming up here soon. But we do have safety protocols. We do enforce those and ask people, there's signs everywhere about what needs to happen and where you need to go. And so that's why, gates are locked so that people can't walk around campus, but we are definitely doing that. But that's always a good resolution to keep. Was saying, can we improve some notifications on Schoology? And again, we continue to work with Schoology, and I've a slide a little bit later on about some things that were suggested. So I'm going to throw that on there, and we can talk about that a little bit more. A resolution that people are asking for is a quicker turnaround on grading and communications. And again, just a reminder for communications, yeah, this was an expectation of 24 to 48 hours that staff is getting back to. If you haven't heard in 24 to 48 hours or after that 48 hours, please contact them again, and you can always add an administrator on there. Or if you're having trouble getting in touch with somebody, please contact an administrator. Again, please give it that 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes we get some people who are eager to get some information, so they emailed an hour earlier and they haven't heard anything, and then they're emailing us. That's really too soon. But again, 24 to 48 hours, you're supposed to get a response back. And then there was a thing, can we remind people about posture and wrist and back stretches and maybe eye breaks and different things like that, in terms of creating some good health habits. And so I think that's a good solution. We're going to be bringing in some resources to help our teachers with that as well. So hopefully you'll start to see and hear some of that. But I know there are some teachers that are doing it. Not all teachers necessarily do it, but it's a good reminder, and we'll try to get that out there as one of our resolutions. So thank you for all those resolutions. I will get those out to our staff. Let's see here. So first question, there weren't a whole lot of questions, but the first question was, how can topics be added to advisory? Basically, if you contact me with ideas, I'm the one who sort of is coordinating the schedules and getting the people to work on them. I work on a lot of them, mostly the anti-racism ones, along with help from other principals in the district and other resources. But basically, I would be the best place to start. You go ahead and contact me saying, can we do this kind of a survey. They aren't just run by administration. We do have other folks that are creating advisory. So our student body, as you heard Ms. Kirby talk about, they've created a couple of rallies that we use during advisory. They also did a New Year's resolution one at the beginning of the year. So they've had a few. Our mental health team has definitely done a couple advisories as well too. Guidance will be taking over a couple. Again, department, our counselors will be taking over. So again, we're happy to encourage other folks to come in and help us out. So just contact me and we can kind of get the ball started. We are scheduled through February at this point. And again, we have our agreement right now is that we're on remote learning for the first 6 weeks of the second semester. So I've scheduled through February. After that, we have to see kind of where the schedule ends up going and how we do advisory, but we are going to be looking at ways to do that. So that's our schedule for the next several months. This week we did a general check-in. Next week we're going to be doing a celebration of our LGBTQ community. On February 3rd, we're having not quite an advisory. We're doing some workshops for students about, it's called Safer Choices. You'll be getting some information in an email coming home here pretty soon if you haven't already. but it's about ending sexual assault through healthy relationships and boundaries. So it's about all our students are going to be doing this. All the schools in our district have already gone through it. We're the last school to go through it. That's where we kind of fell in the chain here. So we're going to be doing that on February 3rd. On the 10th, we'll be doing a course information fair, which is where we'll start to give information about electives out to our students so that on February 24th, they can start working on course selection. So this is that time of the year where course selection is coming up. Of course, we don't have an advisory on the 17th because it's winter break. We do have some other topics that are out there that we're working on that, if, again, depending on how the schedule goes, we might do some stuff on climate change, disability awareness, and more on wellness or well-being. So those are some of the advisories coming up. So there was a question about Schoology. Like, can grades be added to, there's several here, so I'm going to go through a few of them. Can grades be added to the main page instead of clicking through? Right now, kind of comes up with a generic thing. You have to click a couple things to get there. And actually, that's not a function that is available right now. We will give that feedback to Schoology. But again, just as a reminder, Schoology is a pretty big company. They're a nationwide company. They serve several states where they do all of the student information. So we are one client out of many. So our opinion is important, but it doesn't necessarily change the way they do things. But we will definitely send that feedback through. There was another question about, can assignments be marked with a due date and time? Because that makes it easier to kind of understand and see if they're late or not. And yes, this is something that can be done. And this is usually under the control or the discretion of the teacher. So if it's not happening, you or your student can email the teacher and ask if that's something they can start adding as a helpful, thing. You can also email me if you don't want to directly contact that teacher, and I can pass along that. But again, it's better if you hear it directly from you. And so that'd be the best way to get that going. But there are teachers that do that. There are some that don't, and there might be some reasons why they don't. But again, if you are looking for that, please email that teacher. The last one was describing is, can we get a button that you click and it shows all the outstanding assignments? And again, unfortunately, that's not a function that is allowable right now. Or again, we will take that in the first one to our reps at Schoology and see if that's something that can be added for the future. But again, that's not something that they currently have as one of their functions. We had several shout outs to staff members, so I wanted to go through those as well. So Leslie Lloyd, who was our drama teacher, and this was going out to her and the cast of the fall play, which was called 10 Ways to Survive Sheltering in Place. So again, getting creative in the times and being very timely in their production there. So again, a big thank you to them. There was also a thank you to Dr. Jeff Morton, who's our choir teacher, for a spirit lifting winter concert. If you got a chance to see that, it was amazing. Again, even with remote learning and being not all in the same place at the same time, there's some great things that are going on in our music department, as in our other departments. There were a couple shout outs. They didn't say what for, but I'm going to shout them out anyway. So one was for Matt Guevara, who was one of our math teachers. Another was to Brian Dong, who was our assistant principal in charge of athletics and activities. And also to Carlos Martinez, who's one of our Spanish teachers. So the three of them were listed, but didn't say why. So if you can fill in the blank there, but someone thought they were deserving of a shout out. So there it is. And also our final one was for Connie Murray, who was our math teacher and also our math department lead. And they wanted to shout her out for her quick grading and assignments. Here's a reminder too, just want to let you know, you've probably been hearing phone calls and seeing emails about residency. This is something that we're asking that everyone complete by Friday, January 29th. This is only for incoming 8th graders and current 10th graders. You only do it twice in your Homestead career. And what residency is, it's a process for us to determine if we truly have our district residing students in our schools. As a non-traditional funding of our schools, we are a basic aid or community funded district, not an attendance funded district, where in most schools you show up to school, you get the percentage of kids that show up to school, that's what your funding is based on. Ours is based on property taxes and what we get from the community. And so it really is important that we make sure the students who are living here are the ones that are being served by us, and that outside students coming from other cities or living here under fake or false pretenses are not part of our district. So that's why we go through it. We are doing it all online this year. It has actually been a request for years if we could do it online, because people never like coming to school. But now I think people are saying, oh, we should come to school. But we're going to test this out. It's a new one, so there might be a few glitches, but please get your stuff in there. If you have any questions, you can always email Heidi Parrish at fuhsd.org. She can answer a lot of the questions for you, or you can go to that website you see right there, the fuhsd.org/online-registration. All the information's there. So if you have any questions or comments, I know there was a couple links that were not working, but we believe we've got those all fixed out now. So again, please, if you're an incoming ninth grader or current, meaning a current eighth grader or a current 10th grader, please make sure you're doing this work. Otherwise, the rest of you, you don't have to do it. This came up the other day. We've had with the remote learning going on and the classroom being at home. We know that there's a lot of teachers or a lot of parents listening in and whatnot and hearing what's going on in classes. And we've had a couple examples where parents have actually tried to talk to the teacher during class time or during office hours about a concern or an issue. And we ask that you please reserve class time and office hours for the students. If you do have a question or a concern or something you want to bring up to the teacher, that's perfectly acceptable, just not during those times. Please either email the teacher. It's best to email because, again, most of the teachers aren't in the classroom, so they're not getting direct phone calls. They might not have a way to call you back. But if you email them and request some time, they can definitely get back to you. As I mentioned earlier, 24 to 48 hours is when we get back. Again, one of the reasons why we don't want the conversation going on during class time or student time is A, we want to focus on the students, and B, sometimes the information that they want to talk about is confidential. And if there's students in the room, that kind of ruins the confidentiality. So in order to keep the conversations productive and confidential, and getting them, make sure you make it a separate appointment. It's like you can't just show up to the classroom and expect the teacher to sit down and talk with you and meet with you right that second, right? And again, the response back to you should be within 24 to 48 hours. That doesn't mean a meeting can be arranged within 24 to 48 hours. There are specific times where teachers have open time or prep time, and they do meetings during the day, and so they aren't required to meet outside of the workday, just as you aren't required to meet with clients outside of your work time, although we do at times, and there's things that come up that we need to meet. So, but just know that it might take a couple days to get those meetings scheduled. So again, please, we encourage you to talk to teachers. We encourage those conversations. Just make sure we're doing them at the appropriate times. Some important dates coming up next week, January 26th. That's the day we're going to be doing the PSAT for juniors. And again, instead of being a normal Tuesday, we're going to have the Wednesday schedule on the Tuesday. So it's an asynchronous Tuesday. So it's going to look like the Wednesday schedule. And that means then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are going to be going to look like the other days. So it's the only weird day is that Tuesday and Wednesday. So please know that that's going to look a little bit different. As you may know, February is Black History Month, and there'll be some activities and things going on. We'll make those announcements as they happen. I mentioned earlier that February 3rd is that Safer Choices workshop. And so you'll be getting information about that, but just wanted you to be aware of it. We do have the course information fair and advisory on February 10th. We're already almost near spring break, so a little less than a month away. I'm sorry, not spring break, it's winter break. I didn't proofread that before I got there. So winter break, not spring break, February 15th and 19th. Spring break is actually in April. And then February 24th is when there is a course selection advisory or in advisory. So I just wanted you to be aware of those dates. Again, I appreciate hearing from everybody. And again, please make sure you're filling in those surveys. And we look forward to hearing from you. And again, give me ideas for people you'd like to see or be interviewed, and I'm happy to bring them on the screen for you. Again, thank you. Have a great weekend. I hope everybody is safe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.